Yogi Bhajan, born Hariban Singh Puri, August 26, 1929, in the part of India that became Pakistan in 1948. He was the son of a medical doctor. He spent his youth in privileged environments in private schools and his summers in exclusive Dalhousie mountain region of Himachal Pradesh. As a young boy, he attended a Catholic convert school. When he became a United States citizen in 1976, Yogi Bhajan changed his name legally to Hariban Singh Kalasa Yogi. When he was just 8 years old, he began his yogic training with an enlightened teacher, Sant Harzan Singh, who proclaimed him to be a master of Kundalini Yoga when he was 16 and a half. During the turmoil of partition in 1947, at the age of 18, he led his village of 7,000 people near which is Lahore, Pakistan today, 325 miles on foot to safety New Delhi, India, yet where he arrived with only the clothes on his back. Displaced Indians were given houses in India, and soon he was able to continue his education at Punjab University, where he excelled in debate and was a star athlete, playing both hockey and soccer and earning the name China Wall from his opponents. After graduating with a degree in economics, he began Indian government service with India's Internal Revenue Department and supervised the creation of the IRS building in New Delhi. Shortly, therefore, he moved to the Customs Services and became head of customs at Palam International Airport, now known as New Delhi's Indira Gandhi Airport. He married Indrit Kaur in 1952. They had two sons, Rabir Singh and Kubir Singh, and a daughter, Kamal Kaur. Throughout his academic career and government service, he continued to teach yoga to people from all walks of life. In September of 1968, he left India for Canada to teach yoga at Toronto University, carrying a letter of recommendation from Sri James George, Canadian High Commission in New Delhi, who had been his student. After 2 months in Canada, he flew to Los Angeles for a weekend visit. Arriving to Los Angeles virtually unknown, Yogi Bhajan met a number of young hippies, the spiritual seekers of that era, and immediately recognized that the experience of higher consciousness they were attempting to find through drugs could be achieved by practicing the science of Kundalini Yoga, which simultaneously rebuilding their nervous systems. Breaking the century-old tradition of secrecy surrounding the empowerment science of Kundalini Yoga, he began teaching it publicly. With the yoga science of yoga meditation, yogic philosophy, and loving acceptance, he gave the soon-to-be-called baby boomers an effective alternative to the predominant drug culture. He called it a 3HO, healthy, happy, holy way of life. From humble beginnings, teachings first at the East West Cultural Center and then in a student's furniture store in West Hollywood, the yogi was like a magnet. Students flocked to his classes. Soon he was teaching at colleges and universities, including Claremont and UCLA, and accepting invitations to teach in other cities. In July of 1969, the nonprofit 3HO Foundation, Healthy, Happy, Holy organization was incorporated in California. 3HO's service to humanity is through Kundalini Yoga, meditation, and the science of human knowledge, which improves physical well-being, or well as deepening spiritual awareness. Under his guidance as Director of Spiritual Education, 3HO mushroomed worldwide to 300 centers in 35 countries. In 1994, 3HO became a member of the United Nations as a NGO, non-government organization, in consultative studies with the Economic and Social Council, representing women's issues, promoting human rights, and providing education in alternative systems of medicine. Traveling exclusively in the 70s and 80s, Yogi Bhajan crusaded tirelessly to educate, uplift, and enlighten everyone he met. His basic message was, "It is your birthright to be healthy, happy, and holy." Inspired and motivated by his words and adhering to the practices he taught, students created music, art, and poetry reflecting the universal wisdom he shared. Over 200 books have been written based on his teachings, as well as a wealth of CDs, videos, paintings, and sculptures. He himself wrote over 30 books, including the Yogi Bhajan Library of Teachings, Firman Kalasa, Master's Touch, and Mind, and its 8 facets. Becoming the Mahan Tantric, only living master of White Tantric Yoga. In 1971, he conducted workshops in cities around the world. In 1987, he transferred these workshops to videotape, calling them Review to be New Courses, which will continue to be held worldwide. In 1973, Yogi Bhajan founded 3HO Super Health, a remarkable, successful drugless drug rehabilitation program, blending the proven ancient yogic wisdom of the East with the modern technology of the West. Super Health was accredited by the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations and received its highest commendation. In 1973, it's distinguishing itself as being in the top 10% of all treatment programs throughout the United States. Yogi Bhajan, born Hariban Singh Puri, August 26, 1929, in the part of India that became Pakistan in 1948. He was the son of a medical doctor. He spent his youth in privileged environments in private schools and his summers in exclusive Dalhousie mountain region of Himachal Pradesh. As a young boy, he attended a Catholic convert school. When he became a United States citizen in 1976, Yogi Bhajan changed his name legally to Hariban Singh Kalasa Yogi. When he was just 8 years old, he began his yogic training with an enlightened teacher, Tarzan Singh, who proclaimed him to be a master of Kundalini Yoga when he was 16 and a half. During the turmoil of partition in 1947, at the age of 18, he led his village of 7,000 people near which is Lahore, Pakistan today, 325 miles on foot to safety New Delhi, India, yet where he arrived with only the clothes on his back. Displaced Indians were given houses in India, and soon he was able to continue his education at Punjab University, where he excelled in debate and was a star athlete, playing both hockey and soccer and earning the name China Wall from his opponents. After graduating with a degree in economics, he He began Indian government service with India's Internal Revenue Department and supervised the creation of the IRS building in New Delhi. Shortly therefore, he moved to the Customs Services and became head of customs at Palam International Airport, now known as New Delhi's Indira Gandhi Airport. He married Indrit Kaur in 1952. They had two sons, Rabir Singh and Kubir Singh, and a daughter, Kamal Kaur. Throughout his academic career and government service, he continued to teach yoga to people from all walks of life. In September of 1968, he left India for Canada to teach yoga at Toronto University, carrying a letter of recommendation from Sri James George, Canadian High Commission in New Delhi, who had been his student. After 2 months in Canada, he flew to Los Angeles for a weekend visit. Arriving to Los Angeles virtually unknown, Yogi Bhajan met a number of young hippies, the spiritual seekers of that era, and immediately recognized that the experience of higher consciousness they were attempting to find through drugs could be achieved by practicing the science of Kundalini yoga, which simultaneously rebuilding their nervous systems. Amrit is the elixir of life, or whatever partakes of it gets everlasting life and escapes forever from the otherwise intermediate realms of births and deaths. The sages and seers wandered in quest of it, but nowhere in the wide world were they able to find it. Is it then a chimera or a mirage? The saints in reply have repeatedly said that Amrit is something real and solid. It is the water of immortality which lies hidden and buried within the depths of the soul, encrusted with the dust of ages, and may be delved into even now and rediscovered, if one has the patience to do as it is hidden. In the scriptures of the various religions, we come across reference to the sacred water of life. The Muslim divines describe it as Ab Hawani or Ab Hawan, and always suggested its use to the world-weary pilgrims. It also is called Chasm-e-Kazar. The Hindu scriptures call it Mansova, or the pool of nectar, Amstra, which it lasted, if tasted, could grant everlasting life. In the Vedas, we read it as Soma Ras, which granted cosmic consciousness or universal consciousness to the rishis and to the munis who partake of it in ages long ago. The saints generally called it Amritsar, or the pool or the fount of nectar. Christ also spoke of it as the water of life. And let him take that as all thirsty come, but whoever will, let him take the water of life freely. Whosoever drinks of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him should be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Christ. In the Holy Bible, it is stated that Christ used to bring the dead to life. At one place, he is said to have ministered this water of life to a Samaritan lady. From all that it is abundantly clear that Christ freely made use of this water of life in treating the ills of mankind. And very often he refers to the voice of God as well. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. St. Paul, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear should live. Christ, by these means, it is said to have been redeemed no less than 140,000 souls. The rishis and munis are the holy men of old, and even the saints in comparatively recent times tasted of the water of life and made their followers drink from the greatest fountainhead. And it is possible even today to partake of this water with the grace and kindness of some master saint. Amrit, what is it? From a careful study of the scriptures, we learn that the water of life, or nectar, is nothing but the word or logos of Christ, Nam, or Shabbat of the saints, Kalma of the Muslims, and Nam of the Vedic rishis. Amrit is the true Nam, or word, but it cannot be described in words. He who tastes of it by attuning with the word is accepted and is quoted. Guru Arndas, O dear self, Amrit is the Hari Nam, and one gets across to it through a master soul. Guru Ramdas, the word of God is the elixir of life and is the panacea for all the ills of the world. Watkins says it is with the grace of the Guru that one finds a way to salvation. Beacon, Master's word is pure ambrosia. A draught of it quenches all thirst. Guru Ramdas, the treasure of the word is the water of life. Amrit, drink ye, my brothers, to your heart's fill. The way to the nectarian treasure of word truth one finds through a saint. Blessed are the saints who are everly devoted and in tune with them. Guru Arjan, Amrit becomes manifest by devotion to the Master. O Nanak, Sabha is the nectar of life, and a rare devotee of the Master partakes of it. Guru Ramdas, the luminous song has an ambrosia effect. It fills both the body and the mind to a quiet repose. Guru Arjan, O thou who makes manifest the elixir of body within, I make an offering of myself to thee. For those have implanted into me the omnipresent word, and I remain absorbed in the holy Nam. O God, wonderful are thy ways and means. The mind in the gyres can hardly understand them. Thou hast attained it with the delectable Amrit Bani, and the immortal ambrosia word, Shah, is now manifest. Guru Amdas, those who are proud of thy Nam are completely saturated with it. O Nanaki, there is but one Amrit nectar, and none besides it. Guru Angad, the Nam of Hari is the elixir, and a draught of it makes one contented. O Nanak, he who drinks of it escapes all delusion. Guru Amdas, whoever deals into the wealth of Nam lives on the everlasting bottom of life. Guru Arjan, the word of the Master is extremely sweet. Such an elixir one finds within. Whoever tastes of it gets perfected. O Nanak, such a one remains in perpetual bliss. Guru Nanak, to the word of the Master is the water of life. To drink it is to quench all thirst. The mind verily gets drenched in truth and always remains absorbed in truth. Ram Dass. The riches of word, truth, one gets through the grace of a master. Blessed are the saints who are ever in tune with it. Guru Arjan. Amrit is often used for hard God. Han Kirtan, the divine song, and Mera Ras, exhilarating vintage. He alone gets out of desires who engages in the word. Had is the fruit of the tree of life and is a gift from God. False are all the designs and colors that we see. A drop of the water of life is a blessing that comes from a sadhu. Guru Arjan. Had none alone is Amrit. Commune ye with it through the grace of a master. Hari Nam is all pure. A contact with it ends pain and sorrow. Guru Arjan. Had none alone is Amrit. Commune ye with it through the grace of a master. Hari Nam is all pure. A contact with it ends pain and sorrow. Guru Ram Dass. A rare soul drinks the cup of divine vintage. O Nanak, he gets the reward of the divine word and thereafter lives by it. Guru Arjan. I sacrifice my all on him who implanted the life-giving Nam in me. The ambrosia of Nam is supremely sweet. One drinks of it by the direction and will of the Master. Guru Ram Dass. The scriptures tell us that what we call Amrit, or the water of life, is just the same thing as Nam, or the word. A touch with this divine vintage gives God intoxication. Those who wholly depend on thy name are completely dyed in that color. O Nanak, there is only one exhilarating vintage and no other. Guru Angad. In this age of Kali Yuga, there is no other wine but of Amrit. God's Nam is Amrit in the present Kali age. This wealth one may beget by devotion to a Sadguru. Guru Arjan. Amrit is sound principle. Amrit is divine harmony, and it's reverberating all the time everywhere. It is the bread of life, mana, or heavenly food, on which the spirit feeds and thrives. With the meeting of the Satguru, the ever-restless mind gets steady, and one finds the 10th door. There, the melody divine, the bread of life, holds the universe light. Countless are the stains, and endless ever saturated in truth. O Nanak, the contact thereto comes through a God-man alone. No more the wild goose chase, for homeward one is led. Guru Ram Dass. A disciplined soul makes one self-disciplined, and contented he becomes. Absorption in the Master awakens the inner music of the soul. By drinking the nectar divine, one is contented and rises in his presence. Listen ye to the great music of the harp, and taste it night and day. A rare soul alone understands it through the Master's grace. Guru Nanak. Amrit is light principle. The vision centered behind and between the two eyes, if and when directly steadily towards Gagan, inner horizon, gradually gets lighted up. It starts with flashes as from lightning, and the course of time makes manifest the starry sky, and the sun and the moon come to view, besides several other light sceneries. When the spirit transcends all these enters truth deep, the headquarters of the subtle region, there she beholds the sun of Brahman, and beyond Brahman, the moon of Brahman region, we come across frequent references to the higher spiritual phenomena in the writings of Sant Tulsi Singh and many others. Blessed indeed is the ambrosious sound of God, the contact whereof comes through the grace of the Master. Darkness is dispelled, and one gets enlightened just as the sun chases away the darkness of the night. Then one sees the otherwise invisible, the inexpressible, and the unfathomable one, as explained by the Master. Guru Ram Das. Wondrous sweet is the nectaring voice of the Master. Fortune may favor a rare soul to relish it. Light within, one quaffs the quintessence divine, and hears the true sound at the seat of the soul. Guru Ram Das. Pure is the light, and Soma, juice is the word. A contact with them grants a selfless life of everlasting bliss. Guru Arjan. For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, hath shined in our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Guru Arjan. Amrit is sound principle. Amrit is divine harmony, and it's reverberating all the time everywhere. It is the bread of life, mana, or heavenly food, on which the spirit feeds and thrives. With the meeting of the Satguru, the ever-restless mind gets steady, and one finds the 10th door. There the melody divine, the bread of life, holds the universe light. Countless are the stains, and endless ever saturated in truth. O Nanak, the contact thereto comes through a God-man alone. No more the wild goose chase, for homeward one is led. Guru Ram Das. A disciplined soul makes one self-disciplined, and contented he becomes. Absorption in the Master awakens the inner music of the soul. By drinking the nectar divine, one is contented and rises in his presence. Listen ye to the great music of the harp, and taste it night and day. A rare soul alone understands it through the Master's grace. Guru Nanak. Amrit is light principle. The vision centered behind and between the two eyes, if and when directly steadily towards Gagan, inner horizon, gradually gets lighted up. It starts with flashes as from lightning, and the course of time makes manifest the starry sky, and the sun and the moon come to view, besides several other light sceneries. When the spirit transcends all these enters truth deep, the headquarters of the subtle region, there she beholds the sun of Brahman, and beyond Brahman, the moon of Brahman region, we come across frequent references to the higher spiritual phenomena in the writings of Sant Tulsi Singh and many others. Blessed indeed is the ambrosious sound of God, the contact whereof comes through the grace of the Master. Darkness is dispelled, and one gets enlightened just as the sun chases away the darkness of the night. Then one sees the otherwise invisible, the inexpressible, and the unfathomable one, as explained by the Master. Guru Ram Das. Wondrous sweet is the nectaring voice of the Master. Fortune may favor a rare soul to relish it. Light within, one quaffs the quintessence divine, and hears the true sound at the seat of the soul. Guru Ram Das. Pure is the light and soma, juice is the word. A contact with them grants a selfless life of everlasting bliss. Guru Arjan. For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, hath shined in our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. St. Paul. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path. Amrit, its location. The divine ambrosia can be had by inversion and not anywhere in the world outside. One can find it only if one transcends into the spiritual regions above the physical body. A draught of the water of immortality is enough to grant life everlasting to the individual in order to reach the Hazaz Kazar, or the pool of nectar. One has to dig deep into the human self. The human body is the temple of God, wherein dwell both the soul and the oversoul. This temple has quite a number of instruments through which the self within works in the physical plane without. These instruments may be likened to doors and windows through which the soul and the mind go out into the world in search of worldly pleasures. But the soul itself is imprisoned in the body and knows no way to escape therefrom. The body has 9 visible portals, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, mouth, rectum, and the generative organ. So as long as the spirit remains absorbed in the sensory pleasures, it cannot have an access to the heavenly regions and therefore cannot taste the elixir of life. Besides these 9 outlets, there is a hidden spring door behind the center of the eyes. When the spirit, by means of concentration, is gathered up at the center, it becomes qualified for ingress into higher realms with all the spiritual heritage therein. A horror of spirit that delights in the 9 sense organs does not get to the wondrous reality. Kabir therefore sat. All the 9 chambers lie deserted. Essence is only in the 10th. Kabir. The 9 portals led to naught. Nectar may be sight at the 10th. The Master manifests the water of life at the 10th gate, and listening to the divine music, one is led to stillness absolute. Guru Ram Das. There is hardly any need now to search without, when the Master has shown the reality within. The unending music swells in the 10th chamber. There one realizes the ambrosia word. Guru Arjan. The nectar of divine harmony is in the human body, and whoever delves for it gets it within. All outer activities on the plane of the senses, like pilgrimages, penances, and fasts, rites and rituals, forms and formulas, are of no avail in this path. One has to lose himself before he can rediscover himself. For whoever will save his life shall lose it, but whoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. Christ. It means that one can have life eternal only when one learns and practices the art and science of death in life by rising above the body consciousness at will. This is the only way to get the water of immortality, and there is none besides it. The Nam, or the Word, is the bestower of all gifts, and it ever abides in the human body. Guru Arjan. Everyone is endowed with the water of life. None but the destined one can drink it. Kabir. The fountain of Amrit is bubbling over. One can have a taste of it through the word of God. Like musk in the deer is hid the nectar within. And like the deer, a mad search is made without. Guru Ramdas says, a Sufi says, beloved is in the house, and I make a search in the word. With the spring of crystal water within, I go athirst. Inside the head, there is an inverted well with an opening behind the eyes. A current of nectar issuing forth from the well is coming to the body. But the unfortunate spirit, ever busy in the outer pursuits of the world, is not destined to have a taste of it, and so continues in sorrow. Everything of any value is in the body, and nothing is without. Whoever has, through the grace of the Master, found the treasure within, is indeed blessed and enjoys true happiness both within and without. He drinks the ambrosia showers as they fall, and is ever in a state of blissful intoxication. The way to it, however, lies through some master saint, and the spirit, torn away from her source ever since that day of creation, is once again reconciled with her Creator, and lives in perpetual peace and beatitude. Everything is within, and nothing without. He who searches without is yet in ignorance. He who finds it within himself through a master soul ever lives in a state of bliss and beatitude. The Amrit falls down in a big shower. Night and day he lives in perfect satiety and sings the praises of God. The eons of separation comes to an end, and the blighted tree once again blooms forth. Gifted with right knowledge, he revels in Nam. All hail to the Master that brought this about. Guru Arjan. The pool of nectar lies in the folds of the mind. It is only when the mind grows still that it becomes manifest. A contact with Nam grants eternal life. O Nanak, drink within the elixir of life as a pure gift for the Guru. He alone takes in the divine drink, who is destined from above. Guru Hancock. The mind must first be purged of all ills before one can receive the life-given ambrosia. Through instructions of the Master, the mind becomes pure, and then the sacred pool comes to view. Guru Ramdas. Who can taste this nectar? From the writings of the Master appears that one cannot taste this nectar until one learns to die while alive. One has therefore to forsake the flesh for the spirit, for flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. Christ, we have been leading a physical existence only. We know how to live on the physical plane, and that to do with the help of our physical senses. We have never known that there is anything beyond, and that we have senses subtle and causal, apart from the physical, and can make the use of them by transcending the physical plane. There are tremendous possibilities in man, fashioned as he in the image of God. But alas, in the mighty swirl of mind and matter, we have lost hold of the lifeline within, and are drifting headlong in the stream of light with no anchorage. A master saint is the only refuge, and a haven where one may for a while have a respite and time to think over his sad plight. And how does the master help here? He shows one how to leave the body by withdrawing the sensory currents of the seat of the soul. This transcension of the physical body is called death in life. It is the open sesame that locks the door leading into the kingdom of heaven. If thou wishest to have everlasting life, learn how to die in the body before death overtakes thee. Maluna Ra Rumi. He who knows how to die when living drinks Amrit, the water of life. My mind is convinced of the need and is devoted to the master's instructions. Guru Ram Das. Learn to die while alive, for in the end death overtakes all. Baba Farid. Learn how to die that you may begin to live. Thomas A. Kempis. Remember ye the Nam, and love the Lord unceasingly. Live in constant devotion to God's elect. Those who live in death drink the waters of life, and their minds get absorbed to the instruction of the Master. Guru Ram Das. Drink ye the water of life, a pure gift from the Master. With an easy death, ye shall rise in eternal life. Guru Nanak. Spiritual comfort is God's free gift, and not of our own merit. It comes only through the grace of some God-man. He is the way, the truth, and the life. The absorption in the Master alone helps one to gain the pool of nectar within, and this is called a second birth of resurrection. Amrit, how one gets it? Through the grace of God. God's word is the word water of life. One gets it through his grace. Remember God every moment of your life and make your constant practice. Guru Arjan. Everyone sows his field, but blessed are such as God approves of. With the help of the Master is sown the secrets of divine nectar, and then one gets the fruit of the tree of life. Amrit. Guru Ram Das. Through preordination, by one's good deeds, one may get Amrit within, if so ordained. One with earned merit in the past ages may be preordination find nectar within. Highly blessed is God's word, one may taste of it through the instructions of the Master. Guru Ram Das. Through devotion to Satguru, Amrit is all-pervading in its fullness, but we can hardly taste it on the plane of the senses. Water, water everywhere. but a drop to drink. Amrit is much sought after. Even the gods and goddesses are in search of it, but one can partake of it only through the grace of the Master. Amrit which is sought after by rishis, munis, and gods that I have found with the aid of the Master. I have got Amrit through the Master's grace, and truth is now implanted within me. Guru Arndas, one cannot by his own unaided efforts get to the Hazar or the fountain of life. For this purpose, we have of necessity to seek the aid of a living Master who has for himself found the fountainhood and is competent to lead others to it. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the land. St. John, the sovereign remedy of Nam lies in the pool of the crystal clear waters of life, which one gets by the grace of the Master. Nanak therefore saith one preordained to get he meets a Master, and thereby says goodbye to his life, to his ills. The elixir of life, Amrit, one gets from a Master, and thereafter he lives by the bread of the Holy Word. All patterns, all colors, and all designs are from him. A rare soul, O Nanak, lives by this Amrit. O my Master, I would love to be a sacrifice unto thee. The very sight is a great bliss, for thou, out of compassion, hast given me the elixir of Nam. Guru Arjan, God himself directs and grants communion with his holy word. By his grace one meets the Master and drinks of the ambrosia Amrit. Shabad is Amrit, embodying the voice of God as well. By devotion to the Master, it has become audible. Guru Arndas, by acceptance of Master's will and commandments, if ye love me, keep my commandments. Christ, O mind, lead a life acceptable to the Master, for he shall lead thee to thy native home, and grant thee the water of life to quench thy thirst, and all comforts and blessings shall be thine. The gift of elixir depends on the sweet will and pleasure of the Master. A rare soul may get it without much effort. Guru Arndas, in the company of the saints, ye partake of the precious Amrit. Guru Ramdas, a drop of the divine vintage is a great blessing. You can drink of it through some sadhana. O Nanak, he alone lives who practices the Nam and partakes of the water of life with saints. Guru Arjan, Amrit in its fullness abides in a saint, and his glance of grace is enough to transform a person. Satguru is Amrit incarnate, for he is one with Hari God. O Nanak, one remembers God through grace and finds him through the Master. Guru Arndas, Satguru is the pool of nectar, and a blessed soul dips into it and gets cleansed of the dirt of ages and communes with the pure Nam. Guru Ramdas, man comes into the world just to find the river of the water of life, and this he can do through a Master soul. But all orders and sects based on outer observance are a source of sorrow, duality, and affliction, and one cannot reach the fountain of life through such practices. Without the Amrit or Nam, nothing is of any avail, and whoever gets entangled in them cannot find a way out. The precious water of life for which you came into the world you can get from a master saint. Rise above all thoughts of distinctive labels of various religious and clerical orders. Cast aside all raiments and rituals, as also all cunning and cleverness and mental oscillations. These shall not avail thee, not on this path. Guru Nanak, Amrit, who can get it? Out of a millions of devotees, only a rare one who sits at the feet of a living master gets contact with the elixir of life. God alone grants the heavenly ambrosia. A rare soul out of myriads may get it. Very, very fine. The Amrit showers from afar, and but a rare devotee partakes of it. The mind blossoms forth and sings of his glory. Guru Ardas, a devotee of the Master, engages in the pursuit and finds the Amrit and becomes truly blessed. O man, commune with the Nam day and night. Thou shalt lose all impurities and become sanctified. Guru Nanak, the divine Amrit falls down in showers. A devotee, through the grace of the all-pervading, gets it. The enlivening story of God is truly sublime. We have a taste of it through the words of the Master. Heaven's light dawn, dispelling all darkness, just as sun chases away the night. The invisible, the indescribable, and the unknowable becomes manifest through the instructions of the Master. Guru Ramdas, it is bubbling over in its fullness in the temple of the human body, but a man of the world cannot get access to it. In the body lies the fountain of the water of life, but a sensual person cannot have a taste of it. Guru Amardas, I would make an offering of myself at the feet of my Master, who revealed to me the great mystery. The world without the water of life is but a wasteland, and a worldly wise man does not even know of it. Guru Nanak, Amrit, its merits. The merits of Amrit are countless indeed. A contact with it renders all other joys and pleasures insipid and makes one a true renunciate. No longer does he hunger and thirst for the things of the world. He sees him as all-pervading in the core of his heart. Dyed in the color of Amrit, he renounces all and reveals in his masters and his teaching. Guru Nanak, the water of life abides in each heart in its richness. He who tastes of it knows its exhilarating influence. Communion with the power of God is union with God, and one becomes fearless even of death, the last enemy of man. Not only do they achieve freedom, but many other along with them gets free. Those who relish it becomes fearless by saturating themselves in the sweet elixir of Nam. This one gets through the grace of God and transcends the realm of Kali. Guru Amdas, Amrit in its fullest lies within. Ye may relish it by an actual contact. Thou hast cheated the whole world which is going round and round. He who follows the Master derives the greatest benefit. He who tastes of the true ambrosia is not molested by death. Not only does he achieve freedom, but many other he puts on the path. Guru Ramdas, The wondrous gift of Amrit confers many supernatural powers on him who partakes of it, and grants peace and ecstasy. Though it is rid of all pain and sorrow, doubt and skepticism, lusts and passions, and is freed from the most ancient malady of egotism, and all desires and cravings fall off like dry leaves as by an enchanted driven. The mind gets steady and rarefied. Ultimately, one gains salvation and attains to the state of Siha and is honored in the presence of God. From the teachings of the masters, who laid great emphasis on communication with him, it is clear that Amrit is nothing but Nam, Shabda, or word, and this pool of nectar lies within each one of us, but becomes manifest only through a glance of grace from some true saint who enables us to partake of it. Among the Sikhs, there is the practice of preparing Amrit with the help of the sword. By a careful study of the matter, we realize that this too is in fact prepared with the help of Nam, or body. The consciousness is first turned inward so as to contact the inner sound principle, and then as it comes down saturated in the divine, it is turned without, converting the preparation into an Amrit. It is only a competent master, a true Kalasa with full refulgent light in him, who can, by his glance of grace, prepare the Amrit, and whoever partakes of it becomes truly in tune. A saint with eyes bubbling over with divine intoxication can, in an instant, take one to the Mount of Transfiguration and make him into a saint. A glance of grace from a saint makes thee a saint. Guru Arjan, one can drink of the divine nectar through the grace of a Satguru, and truly blessed are they who get an access thereto. They rise into the light of universal consciousness and grant salvation from the endless wheels of birth and death, and live in permanent, perpetual ecstasy, enjoying his beatitude. By drinking of the ambrosia, one lives forever. By communion with the Lord, one is ever in a state of bliss. While in the world, one remains in contentment without any cares and anxieties. Let the mind and soul be intoxicated by the sweet fragrance of the lotus feet of God. Nanak says, O Lord, I'm ever devoted to such as Chatak feels exhilarated by the raindrop. Age of Universe, according to Vedas. Hello, I am Amrit Goyat, a final year PhD student in Department of Computer Science in University of British Columbia. My supervisor is Dr. Lax V.S. Lakshmanan. I completed my bachelor's in computer science from Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. My PhD thesis focused on understanding influence propagation in social networks and how it can be leveraged in various applications like viral marketing. I wrote this article long back, so putting it here without much modifications. It talks about the current age and total age of the universe as described by Vedas, sacred books of Hinduism. According to modern science, there are two theories. The steady theory, which says the universe is never born, never dies, and it is always like what it is. B, the Big Bang theory, which says the universe began with a point of energy exploding in a Big Bang. Since the universe is expanding and evolving, first theory is not 100% correct automatically. Big Bang theory says the current age of the universe is 11 to 20 billion years. According to new observations, clusters of galaxies, superclusters, Great Wall, Thule complexes, it is quite evident that our universe is much, much older than that. Lots of cosmologists believe that the Big Bang theory is not correct, although it is mostly widely accepted. In short, modern man is not aware of forces and science which are needed to explain the creation of the universe. Let's take a look at Vedic science and what it says. Right now, I'm quoting only what it says. A total age of the universe is 311.04 trillion years, human years. Current age is around 155.521972944 trillion years. How is it calculated? There are 4 ages on Earth which keeps circulating. Sata Yuga, 1.278 million years. Treta Yuga, 1.296 million years. Dwapara Yuga, 0.64 million years. Kali Yuga, 0.432 million years. Total 4.32 million human years. This Yuga cycle is called Maha. In English, it means great, big, or Diya, divine Yuga. 1,000 such cycles forms one day of Brahma, a demigod in Hindu religion which governs the universe. So one day of Brahma is 4.32 million times 1,000 equals 4.32 billion human years. Each such day of Brahma is called a kalpa. His night also constitutes 4.3 billion human years. During his day, life exists in the universe. At nighttime, no form of life exists. So one complete day and night has 8.64 billion human years. Age of Brahma is 100 years. Each year of Brahma has 360 days and same number of nights. Thus, total age of Brahma is 360 times 100 times 8.6 billion equals 311,040 billion human years, i.e. 311.04 trillion years. This period is called Mahakalpa. The lifespan of the universe is 1 Mahakalpa, i.e. 311.04 trillion human years. This time span is also the duration of one breath of Vishnu, the ultimate god in Hindu religion. When he exhales, thousands of universes emerge, and one Brahma is born in each universe. When Vishnu inhales, all universe gets sucked, and Brahma dies. This cycle is non-ending and eternal. That's why Vishnu is considered eternal in Vedic science or religion. How old is the universe? Note that the period of Sata Yuga is 0.4 times. Treta Yuga is 0.3 times. Dwapara Yuga is 0.2 times. And Kali Yuga is 0.1, where X is the time span of one Mahayuga cycle. I will use X's as one Mahayuga cycle sequentially. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 Mantvara. Each Mantvara is divided into 71 Mahayuga cycles. So total makes 14 times 71 equals 49994x Mahayuga cycles. Remaining cycles, 1 day of Brahma contains 1000. Mahayuga cycles are used to fill gaps between Mahavantara. Before and after each Manavantara, called as Sandhya and Sannyasa, respectively, there is a junction of 1.728 million ages of Satyuga, or 4x human years. Total number of junctions are 15, since there are 14 Manavantaras. So total gap is 0.4 times 15 equals 6x. Hence, total makes 1000 Mahayuga cycles, or 1 Brahma day. According to the Vedic text, current age of Brahma is 50 Brahma years and 1 Brahma day. We are in the first day of the second half of Brahma, and we are in the 7th Mahavantara, in the 28th turnover of its 71 Yuga cycles. In this cycle, we all start in the Kali Yuga. Age of Kali Yuga is not known perfectly, but it is around 5,000 to 10,000 years. For calculation, let's assume 8,000 human years. So current age of our universe in terms of Mahayuga cycles equals 50 times 720 times 1000 minus 50 years times 360 days plus 360 nights times total number of cycles in 1 day and night plus 6 times 71 minus 6 Mantvara, each of 71 Mahayuga cycles, plus 7 times 04 minus 7. Minus 7 junctions are gaps for 6 Mantvara, plus 27 times 1. We are in the 28th cycle of 71, plus 0.4, plus 0.3, plus 0.2. In this cycle, we are in Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga are 0.4x, 0.3x, and 0.2 respectively, plus around 8,000 human years. Very small, so ignoring it. Thus, total age is equal to 36,000,000 plus 456 times 7. X is equal to 36,000,000 456.7 times 4.32 million equals 155,521,972,944 million years equals 155.521972944 trillion human years. Now, add up the age of Kali Yuga, around 8,000 years. Once we calculate the exact age of Kali Yuga, we can know the exact age of the universe. How ancient Indians or Vedic people more precisely came up with these figures, I don't have a clue. For over 5,000 years, the Indians have discovered flower petal-shaped vortexes of energy lying across 7 different areas on our spinal column. These chakras are directly connected to the endocrine system of glands. These chakras are responsible for distributing energy through the body. When there is a blockage, disease will occur. In our next chapter, we will talk about the Chinese discovery of meridians. I won't go through the specifics of each chakra. Here's a general overview of each one. The following information came from color-meanings.com. The root chakra. The Sanskrit word for this chakra is Muladhara chakra. Mul means root. The chakra colors associated with the root chakra is red. The root chakra defines our relationships to earth. It impacts our vitality, passion, and survival instincts. The red chakra colors are also indicative of our need for logic and order, physical strength, and sexuality, as well as the fight or flight response when faced with danger. The sense of smell in the human body is connected to the root chakra. The gland to which the root chakra is affected is the gonads. The sacred chakra. The chakra colors associated with the sacral chakra is orange. This chakra relates to the water element in the human body. The chakra colors are orange, which impacts sexuality, reproductive function, joy, desire, and even creativity, compassion for others. The sense of taste is associated with the sacral chakra. Glands and organs impacted by this chakra include the lymphatic system, female reproductive organs, large intestine, pelvis, and bladder. The solar plexus chakra. The Sanskrit words for this chakra is Manipura chakra, which literally translates to city of jewels. Thus, the solar plexus chakra is the personal power chakra that is responsible for one's personal and professional success. The chakra colors, yellow, of this energy vortexes are associated with fire, energy, change, etc. This element of fire, when balanced and harmonious, allows one to feel more confident, cheerful, and energetic, along with the right amount of respect for self and others. Our sense of sight is associated with the solar plexus chakra. The glands or organs associated with the solar plexus chakra are the adrenal glands. The heart chakra. Anahata chakra, or the heart chakra, is associated with the chakra colors green. This chakra influences our relationships and has the air element. A weak heart chakra is responsible for sabotaging the relationships through distress, anger, and envy, etc. The sense of touch is impacted by the heart chakra, and the glands connected to it are the thymus and lymph. The throat chakra. The Vishuddha chakra refers to our true voice. As the name suggests, the throat chakra, with its chakra colors blue, is associated with the ability to communicate, listen, etc. The glands to which the throat chakra is attached are the esophagus, ears, throat, thyroid, jaws, teeth, and neck vertebrae. The etheric element of the throat chakra, when balanced, allows an individual to have pleasant voice, artistic abilities, expressive ways, and also ability to be in a higher place spiritually. The individuals with a balanced throat chakra are able to meditate well and use their energy efficiently and artistically. The third eye chakra, the Anja chakra, literally translates to center of knowing or monitoring. This chakra is associated with the chakra colors indigo and is connected to the pineal or pituitary gland. Those with a well-balanced brow chakra can have telepathic abilities, charismatic personality, and they often do not have any fear of death. The element of electricity or telepathy along with the chakra colors of indigo, are associated with our sense of thought. The Crown Chakra. This chakra is known as Sahasrara Chakra in Sanskrit and is associated with the chakra colors of violet or purple. The Crown Chakra is associated with the Pituitary Gland, nervous system, and the brain and head region with its elements of light. In its balanced state, this chakra can render individuals the ability to perform miracles, transcend the laws of nature, and have a heightened awareness of death and immortality. Now, according to the great masters and mystics, the journey begins at the base of the spine. There lies the Ida and the Pingala nerve. Imagine a column called the Sashima, which is not physical, which goes from the bottom of the spine. Here's a definition of the Sashima from Wikipedia. Sashima, very gracious, kind, runs along the spinal cord in the center through the 7 chakras. Under the correct conditions, the energy of Kundalini is said to uncoil and enter Sashima through the Brahma Dwara or Gate of Brahma at the base of the spine. The Shiva Chamanta Treaty on Yoga states, for example, that out of 350,000 nadis, 14 are particularly important, and among them, the 3 just mentioned are the 3 most vital. It seems to me that God hardwired each individual human being, to help discover his true nature. The journey begins at the base of the Root Chakra. Here, the consciousness of me, and me reside. The human being is existing in a state of survival mode. The goal in life is to master each chakra and ultimately arrive at the Crown Chakra and enter its doors. At this state, one will realize that I am the universe. We are all one. This is our true state of existence. We are all one huge, gigantic family. Each one is responsible for discovering our true nature. The world would be in a better place if we all did this. Ponder this over. So you think that you are hardwired to find God? Maybe in time. Maybe it's time to use your inner key to start the engine.
Endocrine System. The following information came from Wikipedia. The endocrine system is a chemical messenger system comprising feedback loops of hormones released by internal glands of our organism directly into the circulatory system, regulating distant target organs. A hormone is any of a class of signaling molecules produced by glands in multicellular organisms that are transported by the circular system to target distant organs to regulate physiology and behavior. Hormones have diverse chemical structures, mainly of 3 classes: echosteroids, steroids, and amino acid protein derivatives, amines, peptides, and proteins. The gland that secretes hormones comprise the endocrine systems. Hormones are used to communicate between organs and tissues for psychological regulation and behavior activities such as digestion, metabolism, respiration, tissue function, sensory perception, sleep, excretion, lactation, stress, growth and development, movement, reproduction, and mood. Hormones affect distant cells by binding to specific receptor proteins in the target cell, resulting in change in cell function. This may lead to cell-type specific responses that include rapid changes to the activity of existing proteins or slower changes in the expression of target genes. Amino acid hormones, amines, and peptides or protein hormones are water-soluble and act on the surface of target cells via signal transduction pathways. Steroid hormones, being lipid-soluble, move through the plasma membranes of target cells to act within their nuclei. Endocrine glands are glands of the endocrine system that secrete their products' hormones directly into interstitial spaces and then absorbed into blood rather than through a duct. The major glands of the endocrine system include the pineal gland, pituitary gland, pancreas, ovaries, testes, thyroid gland, and parathyroid gland, hypothalamus, and adrenal glands. The hypothalamus and pituitary glands are neuroendocrine organs. The hypothalamus gland. The hypothalamus is a portion of the brain that contains a number of small nuclei with a variety of functions. One of the most important functions of the hypothalamus is to link the nervous system into the endocrine system via the pituitary gland. The hypothalamus is located below the thalamus and is part of the limbic system. In the terminology of neuroanatomy, it forms the ventral part of the diencephalon. All vertebrate brains contain a hypothalamus. In humans, it is the size of an almond. The hypothalamus is responsible for the regulation of certain metabolic processes and other activities of the autonomic nervous system. It synthesizes and secretes certain neuromorphines called releasing hormones or hypothalamic hormones, and those in turn stimulate or inhibit the secretion of hormones from the pituitary gland. The hypothalamus controls body temperature, hunger, important aspects of parenting and attachment behaviors, thirst, fatigue, sleep, and circadian rhythms. Pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is a pea-sized gland that sits in protective bony enclosure called the cilia turcica, Turkish chair saddle. It is comprised of 3 lobes, the anterior, intermediate, and posterior lobes. In many animals, these lobes are distinct. However, in humans, the intermediate lobe is but a few cell layers thick and indistinct. As a result, it is often considered as part of the anterior pituitary. In all animals, the fleshy, glandular, anterior pituitary is distinct from the neural composition of the posterior pituitary. Pineal gland. The pineal gland is a small endocrine gland in the brain of most vertebrates. The pineal gland produces melatonin, a serotonin-derived hormone which modulates sleep patterns in both circadian and seasonal cycles. The shape of the gland resembles a pine cone from which it derives its name. The pineal gland is located in the epithelial-thalamus near the center of the brain, between the 2 hemispheres tucked in a groove where the 2 valves of the thalamus join. The pineal gland is one of the neuroendocrine secretory circumventricular organs that are not part of the blood-brain barrier. Nearly all vertebrate species possess a pineal gland. The results of various scientific research in evolution biology, comparative neuroanatomy, and neurophysiology has explained the phylogeny of the pineal gland in different vertebrate species. From the point of view of biological evolution, the pineal gland represents a kind of atrophied photoreceptor receptor. In the hypothalamus of some species of amphibians and reptiles is linked to a light-sensitive organ, also known as the partial eye, which is also called the pineal eye or third eye. René Descartes believed the human pineal gland to be the principal seat of the soul. Academic philosophy among his contemporaries considered the pineal gland as a neuroanatomical structure without special metaphysical qualities. Science studied it as one of the major endocrine glands among many. 17th century philosopher and scientist René Descartes was highly interested in anatomy and physiology. He discussed the pineal gland both in his first book, The Tristes of Man, written before 1637, and his last book, The Passions of the Soul, and he regarded it as the principal seat of the soul and the place in which our thoughts are formed. In The Tristes of Man, Descartes described conceptual models of man, namely creatures created by God, which consist of two ingredients, a body and a soul. In the Passions, Descartes split man into a body and a soul, and emphasized that the soul is joined to the whole body by a certain very small gland situated in the middle of the brain substance and suspended above the passage through which the spirits in the brain anterior cavities communicate with those in its posterior cavities. In the late 19th century, Madame Blavatsky, who founded Theosophy, identified the pineal gland with the Hindu concept of the third eye or the Anja chakra. This association is still popular today. Rick Strassman, an author and clinical associate professor of psychiatry at the University of New Mexico School of Medicine, has theorized that the human pineal gland is capable of producing the hallucinogenic drug DMT under certain circumstances. In 2013, he and researchers first reported DMT in the pineal gland of rodents. Thyroid gland. The thyroid gland, or simply the thyroid, is an endocrine gland in the neck consisting of two lobes connected by an isthmus. It is found at the front of the neck, below the Adam's apple. The thyroid gland secretes three hormones, namely the two thyroid hormones, thyroxine and tridothyronine, and calcitonin. The thyroid hormone primarily influences the metabolic rate and protein synthesis, but they also have many other effects, including effects on development. Calcitonin plays a role in calcium homeostasis. The adrenal glands, also known as supraadrenal glands, are endocrine glands that produce a variety of hormones, including adrenaline and the steroids aldosterone and cortisol. They are found above the kidneys. Each gland has an outer cortex which produces steroid hormones and an inner medulla. Pancreas. The pancreas is an organ of the digestive system and endocrine system of vertebrates. In humans, it is located in the abdomen behind the stomach. The pancreas is a gland having both an endocrine and a digestive excorian function. As an endocrine gland, it functions mostly to regulate blood sugar levels, secreting the hormones insulin, glucagon, somatostatin, and pancreatic polypeptides. As a part of the digestive system, it secretes pancreatic juice into the duodenum through the pancreatic duct. This juice contains bicarbonate, which neutralizes acid entering the duodenum from the stomach, and digestive enzymes, which breaks down carbohydrates, proteins, and fats and entering the duodenum from the stomach. Ovaries. The ovary is an organ found in the female reproductive system that produces an ovum. When released, this travels down the fallopian tube into the uterus, where it becomes fertilized by a sperm. There is an ovary, from Latin ovium, meaning egg, nut, found on the left and right side of the body. The ovaries also secrete hormones that play in the menstrual cycle and fertility. The ovary progress through many stages beginning in the prenatal period through menopause. It is an endocrine gland because of the various hormones that it secretes. Testes. Testes or testicle or testis is the male reproductive gland or gonad in all animals, including humans. It is homologous to the female ovary. The function of the testes are to produce both sperm and androgens, primarily testosterone. Testosterone released is controlled by the anterior pituitary luteinizing hormone, whereas sperm production is controlled by the anterior pituitary follicle stimulating hormone and gonad, testosterone.
Michael Cremo. Michael A. Cremo, also known by his devotional name, Karma Dasa, is an American freelance researcher who identifies himself as a Vedic creationist and an alternative archaeologist, and argues that humans have lived on Earth for millions of years. Born July 15, 1948. Education at George Washington University. Research interest, archaeology, human origins. Where did we come from? What is the true history of mankind? Michael A. Cremo and Robert L. Thompson challenged the prevailing theory of Darwinism evolution with their groundbreaking work, Forbidden Archaeology, the Hidden History of the Human Race. Forbidden Archaeology was first released in 1993 and quickly became an underground classic. Today, it is a bestseller with foreign editions in over 20 languages, presenting both accepted and anomalous scientific evidence defying traditional ideas concerning human evolution. Join us in a fascinating intellectual excavation of a vast storage of hidden knowledge, and meet author Michael Cremo. I stumbled upon Shamani Jain by accident on YouTube. The title of the YouTube video was The Biofield, the missing link between healing and consciousness. This is right up my twin brothers John and I, Allie. We have been studying this for around 50 years. This is the frontier of medicine. Of course, the ancient ones have talked about this for thousands of years. Shamani utilizes both the current scientific model and the ancient model. She is helping pushing the boundaries between between what we hold on to so dearly in Western medicine and who we truly are. We are going from the Newtonian model to the quantum model. This is the difference between night and day. This is the blog she wrote. This is dear to my heart. March 8, 2016. Hacking into healing, the real future of medicine. With these new advances in science, we have a choice to shape the new paradigm in health and medicine. We can choose to watch as industry dollars utilizes scientific advances to advance the next wave of big pharma. Or we can choose to support research that will irrevocably map the impact of our consciousness on our own health, so that we can better directly heal ourselves and prevent disease before it starts. Investigating the impossible. About 40 years ago, a group of microbiologists, behavior scientists, and medical doctors in laboratories from UCLA to Russia proposed, based on their carefully conducted independent studies, a completely heretical idea that the brain, immune, and hormonal systems were connected, and that emotions had a major influence on the body. They were completely laughed at by the scientific and medical community. Some were denied tenure. They were sometimes shut out of university laboratories for their psychological nonsense. Nevertheless, they persisted with the idea, and with their tenacity and vision, as well as years of careful research in the laboratory, founded the field that we know now as psychoneuroimmunology, or PNI. Fortunately for us, these scientists persisted and paved a path that has tremendous impact on our understanding of health and medicine. 40 years later, the fact that the nervous system, the immune system, and the endocrine system are connected is now a given. And nearly every day we're reading about exciting developments to these fields, such as the contributions of the vagus nerve in immune and brain communication, and the recent paper in Nature reporting the existence of functional lymphatic vessels in the brain, something that again was thought to be impossible. We learned about the power of our own emotional state on our immunity, and how our mental state plays a role in certain disease risks, in some cases even help predicting how long we live. Hacking the body electrically. In parallel with these advances in PNI, we are seeing the rise in bioelectromagnetic medicine, including brain stimulation. These new devices, based on the mappings of the body response to magnetic and electrical stimulation, are being heralded as the future of medicine, and show some tremendous promise in helping forward better treatment of certain diseases. Unfortunately, the devices that could mitigate diseases can also serve to disempower us if used improperly. The fever for these devices doesn't stop at finding new solutions for cancer or Alzheimer's disease. Corporate interests are pushing the development of devices down to fixing our mood and even our eating problems. Feeling sad or out of sorts, or need to obliterate that hunger craving. No problem, a brain zap can fix that. There are plenty of folks ready to sell you such devices, whether or not they actually are based on sound scientific evidence. The people are also creating DIY brain stimulation devices for home use to treat depression and enhance attention, which is not safe. Is the new medicine really based on ancient medicine? While industry focuses on devices that can be sold as the next new medicine, some scientists are uncovering the effects of ancient medicine. Mind, body, spirit practices such as yoga, meditation, tai chi, and even energy healing on psychological, neuro, immune, and endocrine outcomes for patients, including those with PTSD, cancer, and cardiovascular diseases. The interesting thing is that the health impact of these practices, which has been part of global cultures for thousands of years, were mapped out long ago by the sages that had discovered and shared them. The described mechanism of action circulated around the understanding that these are spiritual practices that have a strong influence on the subtle energy system, part of what we now call in the West the biofield, and through refining ourselves spiritually, positive shifts occur in emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Sadly, because of the emphasis on materialism in science and medicine, spirit is still considered a dirty word and is general taboo for research and discussion. The study of a biofield is not so far behind in the ridicule line, despite the basic science and clinical research demonstrating effects of the biofield on health, and it is now being shown with bioelectric medicine. In fact, industry is now in a race to become mapping out the electromagnetic readouts of the body, one aspect of the biofield, but only to develop devices that can be bought and sold for mitigating disease symptoms. The future of medicine is up to us. However, similar to the collaborations and dedication that resulted in the new field and advances of psychoneuroimmunology, a group of scientists as well as practitioners in diverse disciplines including physics, biophysics, microbiology, psychology, endocrinology, technology, medicine, contemplative practice, and the healing arts are joining together to collectively advance the totality of understanding of the role of the consciousness in healing, including mapping the impact of mind, body, spirit practices on the biofield and health. This group of scientists, practitioners, and educators who are part of the Consciousness and Healing Initiative are ready to take the bold steps needed to rigorously ask and answer the harder questions. What is the role of our own consciousness in influencing our biology? How deeply can we guide and facilitate our own healing through our emotions, behavior, social, and spiritual connections? And how can we harness these effects to promote better health for ourselves, our communities, and our planet? Scientific research that examines us as the agents for change for our own healing would help to erode a true shift in the practice of medicine. With these new advances in science, we have a chance to shape the new paradigm in health and medicine. We can choose to watch as industry dollars utilizes scientific advances to advance the next wave of big pharma, or we can choose to support research that will irrefutably map the impact of our consciousness on our own health so that we can better directly heal ourselves and prevent the diseases before it starts. We must choose not to lose the psyche in physical neuroimmunology and support the research and education that will truly empower our own health and healing to usher in the future of medicine. Paul Anthony Wallace is a popular speaker, researcher, and author on books on spirituality and mysticism. Today, his work probes world mythology and ancestral narratives for the collective memory of human origins. and their insights for developing our human potential. Paul's book, Escaping from Eden, has been hailed by George Noory as this generation's chariot of the gods. Paul is a regular voice in the Paranormal Chronicles on the Fifth Kind TV in collaboration with Gaia TV. Michael Tellinger is a scientist, explorer, and international acclaimed author of numerous books and dozens of lectures available on YouTube. He is the founder of the Ubuntu Liberation Movement of Unity and Higher Consciousness. Michael has become authority on the ancient, vanished civilizations of Southern Africa, the cymatics and the power of sound. His research includes a diverse field of subjects such as archaeology, pathology, human origins, religion, origins of money, spirituality, breakthrough science, and consciousness. Long before the Sumerians or Egyptians saw the light of day, and advanced civilizations of humans lived in southern Africa, mining gold, they left behind more than 10 billion stone circle ruins, all connected to each other, that makes up the largest cluster of stone ruins found anywhere on Earth to date. Their tools and artifacts indicate that they had a deep understanding of sound and resonance, and used sound to power their tools, and also as a source of energy. They carved the first statue of Horus, the first Sphinx, built the first pyramids, and built an accurate stone calendar right in the heart of it all. Adam's calendar is the flagship among millions of circular stone ruins, ancient channels, agricultural terraces, and thousands of ancient mines, mystery tools and artifacts left behind by the Anunnaki and a mysterious, vanished civilization. Graham Bruce Hancock is a British writer and journalist. He is known for his pseudoscientific theories involving ancient civilizations, earth changes, stone monuments or megaliths, altered states of consciousness, ancient myths, and astronomical or astrological data from the past. If ever a society could be said to meet all the methodical criteria of the next lost civilization, a society that ticks all the boxes is not obvious that it is our own. Graham Hancock. It's not often that anthropology, archaeology, and geology soak up the spotlights of mainstream attention. While the field itself is full of fierce debates and fanatical disputes, it all remains slightly confined within the insulated walls of academia. Enter Graham Hancock. For decades now, Graham has been pushing a theory so controversial that it has even made the likes of Scientific American lose their usually cool-headed approach to scientific reporting. Graham Hancock is an audacious autodidact who believes that long before ancient Mesopotamia, Babylonia, and Egyptians, there existed an even more glorious civilization. In his infamous book, Fingerprints of the God, published in 1995, that set everything into motion. And while many of us have been bumped into his hypothesis at one point or another, it may be worth recounting his postulations as we wait patiently for an interview with Mr. Hancock himself. The quotes below, compiled from his numerous works, all weave and stitch together a summarized depiction of his central theory that an ancient civilization may have existed before recorded history, advanced beyond the regular standards that we overimpose on ancient cultures and eventually wiped out by celestial catastrophe. The impact hypothesis, as Hancock has come to argue and cross-reference with the work of other researchers like Randall Carson. Human history has become too much a matter of dogma taught by professionals in ivory towers as though it is all fact. Actually, much of human history is up for grabs. The further back you go, the more the history that's taught in schools and universities begins to look like some kind of fairy tale. It may be a necessary place to start. Graham's attitudes towards the established dogma of academia can be easily illustrated by watching any one of his debates. His theories are grounded in the simple premise that we shouldn't remain tied to our current interpretations with such conviction, because all scientific theories, no matter how factual they may seem, are mere conjectures, the best guess that we manage to formulate, especially when we're talking about matter from millennia prior. This is the cause of all animosity between Hancock and his skeptics, which mostly include institutional academics that have built their careers upon their hypothesis. Graham fervently asserts that we can't claim with total certainty to know how everything went down and how we arrived to where we are today, and that there exists a large body of evidence that calls for a reconsideration of our current understandings relating to ancient existence. While it may be a slippery premise to its overall foundation of hypothesis, it nevertheless remains a valid point. There are many blanks to be filled in with respect to the advancement of numerous civilizations, and despite how we manage to fill those blanks, we can't quite be sure that we're right. Ancient Egypt, like that of the Olmec Bolivia, emerged all at once and fully formed. Indeed, the period of transition from primitive to advanced society appears to have been so short that it makes no kind of historical sense. Technological skills that should have taken hundreds or even thousands of years to evolve were brought into use almost overnight and with no apparent antecedents whatsoever. Hancock bases a lot of his speculation on the gaps that exist throughout history, gaps that mysteriously fail to reveal the existence of a gradual progression of civilized existence. The ancient Egyptians knew an awful lot about astronomy, and as Hancock has worked to discover, correlated the construction of their iconic structures with celestial patterns, a process which seems much too complicated to calculate as accurate as they did. One possible extension of Hancock's theory is that a group of nomadic survivors representing the remnants of an advanced civilization that has been largely eradicated before our recorded history traveled the world and shared their superior knowledge of astronomy, agriculture, and architecture with budding civilizations like that of the Incas. We learned that they arrived in Mexico from across the sea in a boat that moved by itself without paddles, and that Quetzalcoatl was regarded to have been the founder of cities, the framer of laws, and the teacher of our calendar. The gods of certain cultures, sometimes regarded as Varichoka, sometimes Quetzalcoatl, sometimes Bochica, all share striking similarities in folklore and historical depictions, leading many, beyond Hancock himself, to believe that the founders of many civilizations around the world have really been these nomadic survivors. What is remarkable is there's no traces of evolution from simple to sophisticated, and the same is true of mathematics. medicine, astronomy, and architecture, and of Egypt's amazingly rich and convoluted methodical systems. Even the central content of such refined works as the Book of the Dead exists right at the start of the dynasty period. The majority of Egyptologists will not consider the implications of Egypt's early sophistication. Look at a 1905 automobile and compare it to a modern one. There is no mistaking the process of development, but in Egypt there are no parallels. Everything is right there at the start. The answer to the mystery is of course obvious, but because it is repellent to the prevailing cast of modern thinking, it is seldom considered. Egyptologists are possible Hancock's arch nemesis for the sole fact, should his theory ever prove more valid. It would destabilize a long-held interpretation of ancient Egypt among many other cultures. The institutions that guard their long-held beliefs seem to be especially aware of this and don't entertain any refutation to their current belief structures, which do remain the most convincing until more contradictory evidence is discovered. No, the problem of Göbekli Tepe is the pristine, sudden appearance, like Athena springing full-grown and fully armed from the brow of Zeus, of what appears to be an already seasoned civilization so accomplished that it advanced both agricultural and monumental architect at the pure moment of its birth. Göbekli Tepe stands itself as Hancock's most prized bit of archaeological support for his theory. The nature of this, what many call world's first temple located in Turkey, is such that it indicates that the prior inhabitant seemed to contradict our history. The temple has been founded in the 10th millennia BC, a time whereby the hunter-gatherers ought to have characteristics or progression as a human species. Instead, discoveries made at the temple point to the fact that the systems of agriculture and complex construction has been around much longer than most currently anthropologists agree on, shattering the conventional view of how our civilization really progressed. The Maya knew the time taken by the moon to orbit the Earth. Their estimate of this period was 29.528395 days, extremely close to the true figure of 25.55.058 days, computed by the finest modern methods. The Mayan priests also had in their possession very accurate tables for the prediction of solar and lunar eclipses and were aware that these could only occur within plus or minus 18 days of the node when the moon's path crossed the apparent path of the sun. While the Mayans may have been wrong about their apocalyptic calculations, the accuracy of their other calculations is something that shouldn't be discarded. Simply put, there is no way for certain civilizations to know what they knew, whether it relates to the construction of the Great Pyramids of Egypt, the celestial predictions of countless South American cultures, the celestial correlated construction of an Angkor Wat in the 12th century, or the underwater ruins of lost civilizations like Yogani Mary Jima. We know very little, in all actuality, as how we've come to know where we are today. This mystery, perhaps no longer at the forefront of mainstream curiosity, is still one that teases us without end. Our collective psychology demands such answers because maybe we simply can't truly appreciate who we are and where we're going without understanding who we once were and where we had come from. This may be Hancock's primary motivation and the fuel that drives his character is curiosity. As much time as he spends looking back, like all historians and agriculturists do, the whole point is to simply enhance our look forward, equipped with a greater understanding of our own origin. If ever a society could be said to meet all the methodical criteria of the next lost civilization, a society that ticks down all the boxes, is it not obvious that is our own? Our pollution and neglect of the majestic garden of the earth, our rape of its resources, our abuse of the oceans and the rainforests, our fear, hatred, and suspicion of one another, multiplied by 100 bitter, regional, and secular conflicts, our consistent track record of standing by and doing nothing while millions suffer, our ignorant, narrow-minded racism, our exclusive religions, our forgetfulness that we are all brothers and sisters, our bellicose chauvinism, the dreadful cruelties that we indulge in the name of nation, or faith, or simple greed, our obsessive, competitive, ego-driven production and consumption of material goods, and the growing conviction of many, fueled by the triumphs of materialistic science, that matter is all there is, that there is no such thing as spirit, that we are just accidents of chemistry and biology. All these things, and many more, in mythology terms, at least, do not look good for us. Modern day version. One early morning, around 1986, I was meditating. I felt such joy and happiness. All of a sudden, I felt this incredible power. I saw this incredible cobra at my root chakra. This cobra was slowly rising up my spine. The energy was incredible. It was so real. I became a little afraid due to the power of the cobra. I knew I would not be harmed at all. I controlled my fear and let the experience grow. The cobra went all the way to my third eye, which is the pineal gland. At each step of the way, I would have a different experience. I have always heard about the Kundalini experience, but this was the first time I had the experience to see it. The scriptures talk about this experience. The cobra was so real. It was like you had to face your greatest fears, and then, and only then, could you be taken to a different level of consciousness. Amazingly, this experience exists inside of our being, and yet is dormant. We are so involved in this world that we simply are unaware of a greater reality. I learned that the scriptures of the past were based upon practical experience. We have simply convoluted the meaning of the experience and come up with a different meaning altogether. Let's fast forward to the early 2000s. I'm living in Ashland, Oregon. My wife and I love to go to the ashram in the sky. That's what I call it. Imagine in the winter, in a snowstorm, a large group of people is meditating. It is a guided Kundalini meditation. A huge taiko drum is vibrating throughout the ashram. What is this thing called Kundalini? What does Kundalini have to do with the quantum field? Read the chapters on chakras to find out. Let's fast forward to 2019. Lately, I'm researching the works of Joe Dispenza. He is using the ancient Kundalini techniques, but he is also using the latest scientific instruments to measure what's going on when one practices these techniques. Scientists know that the body and mind are unified. You can't separate the two. All our emotions are stored in our bodies. That means the good, bad, and ugly. Most of our lives we are living in a survival mode of existence. We are reactive beings. Our subconscious is running the show. Experts estimate that the mind thinks between 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. That's an average of 2,500 to 3,300 thoughts per hour. That's incredible. Other experts estimate a smaller number of 50,000 thoughts per day, which means about 21,000 per hour. Yet how many are new thoughts? We've been playing the same record for years. We have the same routine. We go to bed, our alarm clock goes off. We use the same hand to shut it off and go back to bed for 5 minutes. The alarm goes off again. We shut off the alarm. We stumble out of bed and go to the bathroom. We brush our teeth. We are trying to wake up. Off to the kitchen, we go to brew some coffee. It's time to head off to work, just in time for rush hour traffic. We make a few phone calls along the way. Some of us text when the cars are stopped. We make it to the office and do the same dull routines. I could go on and on. Imagine that our negative emotions are stuck in the first 3 centers of the lower chakras. There is a law that whatever strong emotion you have stored, this emotion will be predominant in your life. Say, for example, someone makes you angry. You can't drop it and you hold on for 20 years. You can't forgive this person. Well, unfortunately, you have drunk your poison. This gets stored in your subconscious mind. Whatever you think about this, you will secrete chemicals into your body, and these chemicals will bring you angry emotions. Your stress level will go out. You will be in a fight or flight syndrome. Unfortunately, for the majority of human beings, this is our present state. This breathing technique allows the negative emotions to be released and travel up the spine to the Crown Chakra. There's a physical, spiritual alchemy takes place. It transforms that anger into pure love. That is the goal. Joe Dispenza and his crew have warned up thousands of participants and have mapped out the regions of the brain which gets affected. Many of his students go into high gamma waves, which are off the normal charts. The reason why is that most people live in a high beta state of mind and have no idea how to change. We are stuck in our ways. Most people are comfortable staying in misery and don't want to change. Fortunately, millions of people are waking up from their slumber. A new dawning is occurring for mankind. We are our pharmacy. Every day, our body creates hundreds of thousands of chemicals. These chemicals create strong emotions. Say, for example, you are angry. Your emotional state will be angry. Therefore, you will have angry thoughts. These thoughts will then create angry emotions. We are caught in a cycle. The goal is to be free. The goal is to be in tune with the quantum field. Ponder this over. Modern day version, meditation. Slowly breathe in. Tighten your muscles as you're having a bowel movement. At the same time, tighten your muscles around your navel, lower abdomen. Bring them up and in. Tighten your muscles around your solar plexus, upper abdomen. Bring them up and in. As you're breathing in, follow your breath up the spinal column, past the heart, throat, and pineal chakras to the top of your head. Hold your breath comfortably until you need to take a breath. Be gentle on yourself. Keep on the tightening of your muscles. When you have to, slowly exhale your breath. A wave of bliss is about to be released. Do this for 5 to 10 minutes. Slowly build up your time doing this. In essence, this technique is converting locked negative emotions up your spine, where it is transformed into the quantum field. This is pure alchemy. You are transforming darkness into light. On the material side, your body is sending spinal fluid up your spinal column to your pituitary gland. The pituitary gland then secretes thousands of chemicals, which turns this negative energy into love, kindness, and compassion. In this state, tremendous healing can occur and does occur. Look at the work Dr. Joe Dispenza has done, and you will see there are thousands of people being healed in all sorts of manners. This technique is thousands of years old. Mind you, this technique will seem awkward at first. Just take your time. At some point, it will become second nature to you.
I remember when I was a child, my uncle took my brother and I to a Bob's Big Boy for a chocolate milkshake. The placemats were a spaceman with the words, "Take me to your leader." My brother and I were so much in joy placing these masks over our faces. In one way, we knew that we came from the stars, and it was real funny to see those masks. We know that these earth and bodies were stardust and could laugh at the joke. Yet, we really take this life too seriously. We think this world is so physical, yet over 94 years ago, Einstein taught us different. Yet we still continue to live and believe so staunchly in this space-time continuum. My brother and I knew we were special, and yet we knew everyone was special but didn't know about it. I remember looking at the stars when I was a child, and I knew that I came from beyond the universe. Here it was in a tiny human body, but something inside of me knew that my consciousness existed everywhere. I was the sun and the stars. I knew as human beings we had this capability to experience this, but at the time our Western culture never expressed the idea. I remember when I was probably about 10 years old, my yearning for self-discovery really began. I began to look consciously for ways to learn about myself. Wherever I heard the word India, or meditation, or yoga, it would send a chill down my back. I remember trying to get involved with church, but I had a hard time with the concepts. I felt that life was glorious and incredible. Christianity was trying to make me feel guilty for what happened 2,000 years ago. At the time, I had a strong connection with Christ, which I still do. It was my own personal and private connection. I felt that religion should be a private experience. I had my own personal experience with the Creator. At times, I would watch the church services on TV, but it really didn't have any substance. I felt it was a lot of talk and it took advantage of people. I knew at that age, if I kept my vision, that I would someday have the experience that I was looking for. I knew the doors were inside of my own being, but I wasn't conscious of the door being open. I knew I needed a direct, personal experience of my Creator. My life as a child ran on 2 levels. I was a happy-go-lucky kid. I loved the world and played to my heart's content. The other side of my life was very personal. I wished for the stars and for my friends on the other side. I lived in this world, but I didn't altogether leave my inner world. I knew there was a purpose to life. Our culture at that time already expressed our desire to become one with our Creator. We were taught that when you die, you might have the chance to experience your Creator. I could never buy that. I knew as human beings we had the capability to have a first-hand, moment-to-moment connection with our Lord. It was direct and personal. As a child, I never wavered from that. At times, I would have fleeting glimpses of that experience. I remember waking up and feeling such a joy and ecstasy. I knew that in my dreams, I went to such an incredible place. I didn't have full conscious memory. I knew my friends were looking after me. I felt that in due time, I would be shown the way to consciously 24 hours a day to be in that joy. One morning, I was driving to work, where I had this incredible flash, which only lasted for a second. In this flash, I became one with the whole universe. I was the sun, the stars, black holes, galaxies. I knew everything. I was intelligence. Here I was driving down the highway in rush hour traffic when I had this experience. The experience only lasted 1 second, but had such an impact. It was like a lightning strike. My whole body and being was so charged. Each one of us can have such a realization. It goes beyond time and space. I wonder what would happen if I could tap into this 24 hours a day. Makes you kind of wonder. One early morning, I was meditating using Mahfu's technique. I felt such joy and happiness. All of a sudden, I felt this incredible power. I saw this incredible clover at my root chakra. This clover was slowly rising up my spine. The energy was incredible. It was so real. I became a little afraid due to the power and the clover. I knew I would not be harmed at all. I controlled my fear and let the experience grow. The clover went all the way to my third eye, which is the Pituitary Gland. At each step of the way, I would have a different experience. I've always heard about the Kundalini experience, but this was the first time I had the experience to see it. The Vedas talk about this experience. The clover was so real. It was like you had to face your greatest fears, and then and only then could you be taken to a different level of consciousness. It's amazing this experience exists inside of our own being, and yet it is dormant. We are so involved in this world that we simply are unaware of a greater reality. I learned that the scriptures of the past were based upon practical experience. We have simply convoluted the meaning of the experience and came up with a different meaning altogether. The following day, I packed up my bags and took a train to Hancock. Maraji's ashram is near Hardwar. It's a small town in the foothills of the Himalayas. The next 2 weeks I listened to discourses about this knowledge. Something inside of me knew that I was to receive the experience of a lifetime. I knew the door to my soul was to be opened. Words are hard to express the feeling that was going inside of my being. I knew that in a short time I'd be shown and would reveal the secret of life itself. I knew this experience was real. I talked to a lot of people who had the experience. I could tell and sense that something wonderful was going on. I liked the idea that the proof is in the pudding. I didn't want to join a cult or religious group. I just wanted a direct and continuous experience of the power that's keeping me alive. I knew through practice this could be achieved. During this time, the war between India and Pakistan was going on. Each night there were air raid sirens going on, and off in the distance we could hear bombs going on. There was a general blackout at night. Pakistani bombers were only miles away. Air raid sirens were heard in the distance. At the ashram, the whole place was so serene, while this part of the world, people were dying. Trains of Pakistanis were being massacred going from India to Pakistan, and trainloads of Indians were being massacred going from Pakistan into India. Such a dichotomy. I'll never forget my initiation. There were probably about 20 of us in a small room. Mirachi had initiators who revealed his knowledge. We were in the room while Mirachi was playing on top of the roof directly overhead of us. This experience that I had that day still sends shivers of joy, just merely the thought. The first technique the initiator revealed was the light technique. I always knew that the human being had the ability to see the light inside. This is an actual experience. When the initiator touched my forehead, I felt this incredible surge of energy. I knew at that point that something incredible was going to happen. My whole body and soul sensed it. My consciousness completely left its physical existence. A golden circle of light appeared. Inside of this circle, a brilliant blue star appeared. This golden circle of light and this blue star was so beautiful. It's probably the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Waves of love, joy, and peace were surging inside my consciousness. All of a sudden, the star transferred into a ray, a tunnel of blue light which went on for infinity. I merged with the blue ray. It's very hard to describe this experience. I was at home. The doors were open. I was given the keys and it was up to me to cultivate that experience. I have definite proof that we are more than these bodies. All of a sudden, the mystery of life was revealed. I knew the secrets behind our religion. There was a genuine experience that could be shown and experienced. Years later, I realized that this experience was initiation into Lord Michael's blue ray. It was the Jacob's ladder. This experience was the ladder to God. To this day, I'll never forget this experience. It gave me practical proof that God exists. I knew it, but this was a practical experience. It was more real than any outside human experience. I knew my life was on track. I had waited years to go home. I was shown such a glorious place. When I returned to this body and regained physical consciousness, my whole body was shaking like a dot. My body had a hard time. Can you imagine being hooked up to the power plant of the whole universe? I knew no damage was done. Over time, I knew that the body was built and designed to handle these kinds of currents. Day by day, through meditation, man can slowly harmonize with these frequencies and begin to vibrate at this frequency. There were 3 other techniques that were revealed. One was the music technique. I was shown how to listen to the innermost frequencies of life. Since God is energy, man has the capability to be in tune and listen to subtle yet energy frequencies. Different religions have different concepts about this experience. By listening to this music over time, man is filled with such a joy and peace in his life. The mind slowly begins to slow down. In this state, man gets in contact with an energy frequency that is infinite. This energy is pure love and bliss. The whole universe is comprised of this energy. It was, is, and will always be. This is the Word of God. Every major religion talks about the Word in some form or another. This is a very simple technique where man can be in direct communication with the subtle energy. When a person first receives this initiation, the Word is very subtle. The majority of people really don't understand the power of this Word. I know a lot of people who took this experience and never really tried it out. Over time, I can consciously put myself in direct communication with this Word. My whole being is instantly filled with such a wave of love and bliss. I'm not there 24 hours a day, but I know it's possible. I have had experiences that I was completely taken out of this physical world and taken to a place where there's no time and space. The only thing existed was this incredible energy of love. I know I was at home with my Father. This energy exists throughout all creation. It exists in the manifest and unmanifest. It exists throughout time and space and beyond. All of creation came from this Word. In the Bible in St. John, the verse goes like this: in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Human beings have the capability to tune into this experience. The last experience was one of the living waters or nectar experience. When man is in this experience, powerful hormones and enzymes are secreted through the endocrine system. Through the ages, man has learned that he has a capability to actually experience this nectar or living water. Just one drop of this is an incredible, powerful experience. One drop has the capability to take man's consciousness into a definite altered state. This fluid is very cleansing to the body. When Christ was in the desert for 40 days and nights, he lived off this manna. This experience is energy in its subtle form. It is energy, yet it transmutes itself into matter. This experience is very powerful to the endocrine system. I've had numerous experiences of this nectar. It's probably the most intoxicating drug known in the universe. Unlike a drug which has side effects, this experience is completely beneficial to the body and soul. These experiences reveal over time who we truly are. We are more than our mind or body. We are in fact the source of life. Each one of us are part of this universal consciousness. We just don't remember it. It's amazing when we were born, we came from the source. Our whole body was this consciousness. Over time, we forgot. Years later, we have completely forgot of our true existence. After the initiation, I thank my Creator for revealing Himself to me. My dreams come true. I had the tools. Everything made sense to me. I could read the scriptures and understand the hidden meaning. The scriptures were at the same wavelength. I had a lot of respect for the major religions. One night in Sedona, I was with 3 of my friends. We were outside looking at the stars in lawn chairs. It was early July. It was a nice evening. The sky was perfectly clear. There were thousands of stars in the sky. We were looking at a strange phenomena taking place. We would see these streaks of light going vertical in the sky. Imagine a huge flashlight sending a flashing light from left to right across the sky. It would come in 1-minute intervals. All of us were delighted in the show. We were making the same oohs and ahs when kids see fireworks. In the midst of a lull, I noticed 3 stars in the sky I never noticed before. These 3 stars formed a triangle in the star. It looked like a pyramid. All of a sudden, I felt myself being sucked out of my body. It was like this huge vacuum sucking me out and out of in my body. There was this tunnel of light. I was traveling inside of this tunnel. We all seen on Star Trek, The Next Generation, the sensation of warp speed. This is the same kind of sensation that I felt. The next thing I knew, I saw this huge mothership. This ship was so large that there were mountains, oceans, and Earth-like planets inside of this ship. I was greeted by a group of 12 beings. I recognized Saran and Lord Michael. They took me on the tour of the ship. The whole ship had a clear plastic-like substance, which was the outer shell. Inside of this were the mountains. The main engine room was driven by energy itself. They had the technology to convert energy itself to drive the whole ship. All electricity was generated by pure and perfect energy. There was no pollution whatsoever. It's hard to put in words what I was going through and what I saw. It was so beautiful. These beings were so beautiful. They were friendly and extremely intelligent. Their technology was light years ahead of us. At one point, I was placed on this beautiful table. Zoran, Lord Michael, and the rest of the 12 beings placed their hands on my body and started to send me brilliant colors of light. My whole body was enveloped in a rainbow of light. This light was pure consciousness. It was alive, if extremely blissful. I felt all the stress being taken out of my body. It was an incredible ceremony taking place. No words were spoken. There were 12 incredible beings performing an ancient ceremony on me. I felt they were once again reminding me that we are all come from the same source of life. There is a universal consortium of beings who are called the White Brotherhood, whose mission is to transform this universe into something far beyond what we can imagine. There are millions of humans alive on this planet who are part of this consortium. Before we were born, we all decided to come down and help this planet Earth. All the major religions now know that something incredible is about to happen to this planet and the beings on this wonderful Earth. We are to usher in this era along with our friends. Our weapons are simply love itself. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Our mission is to consciously change ourselves to bring beings of love. Christ was a prime example of this. We all have the same capacity. We just have to stop, look, and listen to what's going on. Here's the most incredible event that's taking place on this planet, and we are asleep. We are too involved in our little lives to stop just for 1 second and ask some basic questions. Who am I? What is the purpose of this life? Where is true happiness? I feel as a society we need to learn about tolerance, forgiveness, and being open-minded. Each of us are so caught up in our own mindset that we can't see that we are flowers on a beautiful garden called life. Isn't it so beautiful that we are all so different, yet all of us at the same time are so similar? The breath of life is keeping us alive, and we are unconscious of this fact. It's time to wake up and smell the roses. Each one of us have to have this experience to remind ourselves to wake up either consciously or subconsciously, even if you don't believe in any of this. Imagine if this is all make-believe. There was a time that flying an airplane was make-believe. It is now reality. There are millions of people on this planet whose prayers are to see peace on this planet. In time, this will have to happen. We just have to bring peace to ourselves. We have to know who we truly are. We are beings of love. We have simply forgot who we are. It is time as a whole that we wake up. It's kind of funny the whole world wants peace and happiness, yet there's so much misery and poverty and grief. The love we have inside is boundless and endless. It is worth more than all the riches in the whole universe. Without it, we are nothing. I know I had many incredible experiences in my life. Many people are envious of them, yet without love, they mean nothing. It's like a body without the breath, no life whatsoever. Our main mission is to be filled with love, that whenever we touch, it turns to love. What would happen to this planet if every citizen on this planet was experiencing such a love? We would have no conflict, war, or poverty on this planet. We would truly help each other out. We would truly know that human beings are incredible beings. Well, when I came back, my friends knew that something incredible had happened to me. I told them just a fraction of what happened to me. It was all so personal that I didn't want to blah out or be arrogant. Years later, I felt the time was right to put the experience in words. The incident showed me that my friends beyond the stars were always looking after me in this planet. I knew my days as a young child looking at the stars was based upon an unconscious yet conscious connection with my friends. We are never alone. We have friends who are looking after us. Most of the time, we don't know that. On Raji's 14th birthday, on December 10, 1972, a huge party was held in Premnagar Ashram in India. For some reason, I came as the Blue Meanie. At that time, I didn't know why I chose that. I didn't like that character in the Yellow Submarine at all. Years later, I had this dream where I was the Blue Meanie in the Yellow Submarine. I felt this incredible energy of love fill me up. All of a sudden, this Blue Meanie became 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 265, 512, 1012, and so on to infinity. This happened in less than a fraction of a second. My whole consciousness was in the infinite ocean of blue meanings. The whole sea was love itself. Each blue meaning was separate, yet tied together by the ocean of love. I felt a power more powerful than a nuclear power plant surging through me. Just the power of love flowing through me. I became the universe. Every part of creation was an aspect of this consciousness. I knew and experienced everything on this planet and all other universes. I was one. The effect of this dream lasted a long time. I felt so fortunate to be reminded who we really are. Life will teach us in such a beautiful manner. Many experiences we don't seem to care about or nor will be using it further for a greater purpose. Let me introduce Zoran. Zoran is an entity who is known in other dimensions as Logos. Logos on this planet comes from the Greek word which means word or power. The Bible talks about Logos as the Word, and the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Zoran was the personification of that Word. The first time I met him was in Phoenix, Arizona. A few of my friends saw him and said I might like to see him. They said he was real different and liked to teach with toys. Zoran is channeled by my car. When he comes into her body, he takes over much like Mafu. Anyway, we arrived late to the hall. I see the program has started. From the loudspeaker, I hear a voice which sounds like Mafu. I'm thrown for a loop and ask myself, why is Mafu's tape being broadcasted through the sound system? I sit down and see that this voice is actually Zoran. I love the way Zoran was. This whole teaching was through games and laughter. He had all these stuffed toys that he would hand out. At one part of the program, he started to pull out people from the audience. He pulled me out and gave me an orange ball. He then proceeded to ask each one of us what this toy meant to you. When it came to me, he asked me about the orange ball he gave me. I told him that orange represents collagen, the substance which ties the cells together. Without collagen, the cells would fall apart. This ball represents a life force which keeps the entire universe together, otherwise it would fall apart. He just laughed and blinked his eyes and said, "Good answer." That night I was very intrigued by Zoran. I knew that we were best of friends and I wanted to talk to him personally. The following day a meeting was arranged. The first part of the meeting was spent in such laughter. People outside of rooms, it was like an auditory of people laughing. There was only 3 of us. At one point, Zoran said, "If I laugh anymore, we'll have to leave this physical body. It will cause damage to her body." At this time, the tone became more serious. I learned I was a student of his at a planet called Nucleus. This school was learning about the ways to split open the atom using one's mind. The school was built on practical experience. It was truly a mystery school. Makar and I were both students in this school. Zoran told me many wonderful things. We became real good friends. At one of the seminars, he had always called me. I became a friend just like the good old days. I remember one day he asked me, "What do you think about women?" Why, I said, "I want to solve that mystery." He said that someone special was going to happen and that very soon I would meet the woman of my dreams. The next day, I had a dream where I met my future wife, Barbara. A voice came to her and said, "When you meet this person, you should get to know them." A month later, I was staying at a friend's house and Barbara walked into the house. I recognized her at once. I played it quite cool because I knew that destiny would be played out. The rest is history. Zoran taught me a lot of techniques of getting in touch with myself. His whole style was through laughter. He said that laughter and joy create such a frequency that it sinks in subconsciously. He had a great analogy that when you go to the bathroom, you don't inspect your stools. He said so many people struggle to reach happiness. Life is not a struggle. Life is not a battle. Life is fun and humorous. I never laughed as much as with Zoran. He taught me a new angle on life. day in Arizona, I had this incredible vivid dream. I dreamt that Sai Baba was sick. For those of you who don't know, Sai Baba is a great Indian saint. He has the ability to manifest jewels from his hands. He has millions of followers in the world. Sai Baba was very sick in my dream. There were a lot of people around him in my dream. He came up to me and said, "Only you can heal me." As soon as he said that, I felt a tremendous energy flowing from within my being. I placed my hands toward him, and he started to send energy inside of his body. His whole body was shaking. After a few moments, he was healed. The love that was flowing between us was incredible. I felt this incredible wave of love flowing into me. My whole being was saturated with this experience. It was more than a dream. I really can't put that experience in words, but it was absolutely incredible. About 3 months earlier, I took this incredible healing course. There, the instructor told me that I would receive a great gift from Sai Baba. 3 months later, this experience came to me. I have learned since then to have respect for all teachers. We can all learn from each other. I certainly don't have all the answers. I don't know anyone who does. Each of us has something special to offer this world.